Alright guys, for the first round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Sceptile. So I do consider this to be a better start for us because Sceptile being a grass type Pokemon, we are going to be double resisting all of his bug and grass type moves due to Venusaur being a grass and poison type Pokemon, so we are going to be double resisting that, while all my frenzy plants are going to be doing only not very effective damage. So as you guys see, this is going to be doing a lot of damage, more than half health as you guys saw there, so because of that we are actually ahead on damage. I do expect to see a shield come out on my second frenzy plant because I do know that it does have the capability to actually faint my opponent's Sceptile. We do get hit by a Dragon Claw, and because of that he does actually get ahead on energy, but I do know that his Sceptile will not be able to go for the farm down against my Venusaur, so I don't have to worry about that. What I do have to worry about is just throwing in these frenzy plants and actually trying to win the 1v1 start. My opponent does throw in a Dragon Claw, so I do decide to mirror my opponent's shield. He did throw in a shield for a frenzy plant that I just threw, as you guys saw, so I am going to be throwing in another frenzy plant. I do just want to win this one-on-one because it is going to be pretty risky, seeing as I have that Hariyama in the back that there might be a lot of counters to, just like Swampert or something like that. But my opponent's second Pokemon is a Mamoswine, so that is going to be perfect for my own Hariyama to come out. Hariyama being a fighting type Pokemon, all of his fighting type moves will be doing super effective damage against Mamoswine due to fighting types being super effective against ice types. We do get hit by an Avalanche there that we don't have to worry about because these bullet punches are doing so much super effective damage. Hariyama does have access to Bullet Punch. Bullet Punch being a Steel type fast move. Steel types will be doing super effective damage against ice types. I did decide to throw in the Dynamic Punch that we did actually get a shield for, and from here I did decide to go for the hard farm down. My opponent does get to me another shield here that I am actually going to be throwing in a shield for because this Dynamic Punch is going to be doing a lot of damage against whatever Pokemon that comes out. So I do actually decide to throw in the Dynamic Punch right here because I did see that if I didn't, then both of us would have gone down right here, but I could have also used Hariyama as a meat shield for whatever your second Pokemon or final Pokemon is, and my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Machamp. So if my Poliwrath was going to lose due to Machamp's charge moves, I would have been able to make that swap out into my Hariyama. That is why I kept him there, but it does seem like my Poliwrath is going to be able to feint my opponent's final Machamp. I do just have to get to that Ice Punch, which I do know will be able to feint my opponent's Machamp from the health that my opponent is at, as you guys will be seeing here. And since both of us do have zero shields, I am just going to charge into that Excellent, allowing us to win the first round. Good game to my opponent. For the second round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Gyarados. So once again, I do consider this to be an even start. All of my opponent's Dragon and Dark type moves are going to be doing a good amount of neutral damage. I do know that Gyarados does have access to a lot of charge moves, including Aqua Tail, Crunch, Outrage, Twister, a lot of moves, but I did consider that to have the advantage on my own Venusaur, so my own opponent did decide to make a swap out into a Magmortar. Magmortar being a fire type Pokemon that is going to be great for my own Poliwrath to come out. Poliwrath being a water and fighting type Pokemon, we are going to be resisting those fire type moves due to fire types being not very effective against water types, and my ground types from my Mudshot are going to be doing a good amount of damage, as you guys see here. That Dynamic Punch also did do a good amount of neutral damage, did way more than half health, and because of that, it does allow my own Poliwrath to actually go for the hard farm down with his Mudshot. That is going to be huge for us, since I do know that he does have the Gyarados in the back, and if he does decide to swap out into that, these Ice Punches are going to be doing a lot of neutral damage. But my opponent does decide to make a swap out into Venusaur. Venusaur being a grass and poison type Pokemon, these Ice Punches are going to be doing super effective damage against him. We are also going to be taking super effective damage back with my opponent's grass type moves due to grass types being super effective against water types. So my Ice Punch is charged up. We do get my opponent's final shield there. I do have one shield left, so I do have the advantage. And right here, I do decide not to throw in a shield, but instead let my Poliwrath faint and then make a swap out into my Hariyama to actually go for the farm down. I do know that I will probably have to throw in a shield, but those dynamic punches are going to be doing a good amount of damage. Plus, I do want to utilize my own Venusaur against that Gyarados instead. So my opponent does get to his charge move. I do decide not to throw in a shield. Hariyama isn't that tanky, but he isn't that weak either. So I did know that he would be able to survive that Sludge Bomb or Frenzy Plant, whichever move that my opponent's Venusaur did throw. And I am going to be throwing in the Dynamic Punch that is going to be able to feint my opponent's Venusaur, and that Gyarados is going to be coming in. I am going to use my final shield here, and then I am going to be throwing in the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant being a grass type move. Grass types do super effective damage against water types, but not very effective damage against flying types. So this is going to be doing a good amount of damage against my opponent's Gyarados, allowing us to win the second round against my opponent. For the third round, my opponent's first Pokemon is a Granbull. So this is going to be very good because Granbull being a fairy type Pokemon, we are going to be resisting those fairy type moves due to Venusaur being a grass and poison type Pokemon. Fairy types will be doing not very effective damage against poison types, so my opponent does make a swap out into Charizard to actually counter my Venusaur. Venusaur being a grass type Pokemon, fire types will be doing super effective damage against grass types. So I did decide to make a swap out into my Poliwrath because we are going to be resisting those fire type moves due to fire types being not very effective against water types. And especially because my Poliwrath does also have access to Ice Punch, which is going to be doing a good amount of neutral damage due to Ice types being not very effective against fire types, but super effective damage against flying types. So we do get my opponent's final shield there. That is great. I do have one shield left that I am not going to be throwing a shield here. I do know that Dragon Claw is not going to be enough to actually feint my Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a pretty tanky Pokemon, so I do recommend that you can use them in your team, especially if you do have those double moves with Power Up Punch or Ice Punch or Dynamic Punch. That is going to be very good. But my Ice Punch did go through. I still am not going to be throwing in a shield because the Dragon Claw, although it is going to be doing a good amount of neutral damage, I do know that my opponent's Charizard will not be able to go for the farm down against my Poliwrath, since once again he is pretty tanky. So my Ice Punch is charged up. I am going to get to that Excellent, since once again my opponent does have 0 shields left, so that is very good. I am very close to getting to that Ice Punch. If my opponent does get to his charge move, just like he gets here, I am going to be throwing in my final shield because I do want to win the one-on-one, because my Hariyama will not be able to go up against that Granbull, so I do have to win this one-on-one. I do allow my Poliwrath to be 1 HP, so my opponent does not get as much of a farm down as he should be getting. My opponent does make a swap out into Gengar, Gengar being a ghost and poison type Pokemon. I am going to be making my Hariyama come out. I do consider my Hariyama to be the safe swap of this team, although there is a bunch of counters. He really isn't, but he is the most tankiest out of this whole team. So we do get hit by a Shadow Punch from my opponent's Gengar. I do know that Dynamic Punch is going to be doing a lot of not very effective damage against him, but my opponent does make a swap onto Granbull, and right here I do know that my Venusaur will have the capability of 1v2ing with only his Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is going to be doing a lot of neutral damage. As you guys saw there, that Granbull did go down from only 1 Frenzy Plant. That Gengar is going to be coming out. Although grass types will be resisted because of Gengar's poison type, it still is going to be doing enough not very effective damage to actually feint my opponent's Gengar, mainly because Gengar is pretty glassy, but also because Frenzy Plant is just a very strong grass type charge move, and because of that we do actually feint my opponent's Gengar, allowing us to win the third round. Good game to our opponent. For the fourth round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Jolteon. Jolteon being an electric type Pokemon, this is going to be a very nice start for us due to grass types being neutral against electric types, but electric types will be doing not very effective damage against grass types, so that is going to be great. And especially because my opponent did make a swap onto Donphan, so that does allow my own Poliwrath to come out. Donphan being a ground type Pokemon, I do allow my Poliwrath to come in in, mainly because he does have access to Ice Punch that will be doing super effective damage against my opponents. So I do get my opponent's final shield right there. Ice Punch, once again, is going to be doing a lot of neutral damage or super effective damage, and it does charge up very fast. Ice Punch will be doing super effective damage against ground types, so I do expect this to do at least half health, as you guys see there. My opponent does have 0 shields left, so he can't do anything about these Ice Punches, and those swap cooldowns are still not over yet, so he can't make a swap out into any other Pokemon. My opponent does throw in an Earthquake that I do have a shield for right there. I do have 1 shield left. Ice Punch is charged up. I do know that this will be able to feint my opponent's Donphan from the health that my opponent is at right now. My opponent's second Pokemon is going to be a Charizard. So Charizard will basically be countering my whole team, including my Hariyama and my Venusaur. So I do just have to get as much of these Ice Punches off as possible, due to Ice types being the only neutral damage attack that I have against this Charizard, aside from Sludge Bomb from my Venusaur. But Sludge Bomb is going to be charging up very slowly, so Ice Punch is the charge move that I do have to spam right here. My Ice Punches are still doing a good amount of damage. I do know that Fire Spin will not be able to feint my own Polyrath and go for the farm down. So I did decide to throw in my shield here because I do know that his charge move will definitely be able to feint my Polyrath, because my Polyrath is just very low. My Ice Punch is charged up. I do know that this will have the capability to actually feint my opponent's charge move, or my opponent's Charizard from the health that my opponent is at. That Jolteon is going to be coming out, and this Frenzy Plant will be doing enough neutral damage to actually feint my opponent's final Pokemon, which is that Jolteon, allowing us to win the 4th round according to our opponent. Alright guys, for the 5th and final round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Roserade. So I did already throw in an Ice Punch, and we did get our first shield, but my Ice Punch is going to be charged up once again. This is going to be doing super effective damage due to Roserade being a grass and poison type Pokemon. Ice types will be doing super effective damage against grass types, so we do get my opponent's first shield there, and I do decide to throw in a shield up here as well, because I do know that he does have access to many moves. As you guys see there, the Dazzling Gleam would have definitely feinted my Polyrath. He could have actually thrown in a Grass Knot, but that probably wouldn't have feinted my own Polyrath. At most gotten us a little bit to very low. But my opponent's second Pokemon is going to be a Swampert with Water Gun. So Water Gun being a water type charge move or fast move, that is going to be great for my Venusaur to come out, because Swampert being a water and ground type Pokemon, these grass type moves will be doing double super effective damage against my opponent, and my Venusaur will also be able to go for the hard farm down. I do decide not to throw in a shield here because Hydro Cannon will probably feint us, but as you guys see, he did actually throw in the Muddy Water. So the only reason I did decide not to throw in a shield here was because my opponent's second Pokemon, or that my opponent's second to last Pokemon, is actually that Drapion, and my Hariyama is actually going to be my only counter against him, and Dynamic Punch isn't going to be charging up very fast, so I do have that extra shield. As you guys will see here, I am going to be throwing in this in right here. My Hariyama does have access to Dynamic Punch being a fighting type charge move. Fighting types will be doing not very effective damage against poison types, but super effective damage against dark types. So this Dynamic Punch is going to save my team right here, because my Venusaur will not be able to go up against my opponent's Drapion. As you guys see, since he does have Ice Bite as his fast move, which is an ice type fast move that will be doing super effective damage against my Venusaur, my Dynamic Punch is charged up once again, and that Swampert is going to be coming out that I do have a counter for, which is going to be my Venusaur. Venusaur once again will be doing double super effective damage with his grass type moves. My opponent does decide to throw in the Shred Move right here, which I do know will be feinting my Hariyama, because my Hariyama is just very low. The swap cooldown is over right here, so I can make that swap out into my Venusaur and go for the hard farm down. I did just decide to throw in the Frenzy Plant just to be safe, just in case he doesn't actually get to something like a Earthquake or something like that may actually feint my own Venusaur, but my Frenzy Plant did actually feint my opponent's Swampert there, allowing us to win the final round. Good game to our opponent. Alright guys, so that will be the end of today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please consider dropping a like, subscribing, and turning your notifications on. And with that being said, I'll see you guys over the next video.